Greetings, YouTube. I don't know where you are, but at the moment it's 14 bombing degrees outside. It's just a bit nippy. Today I'm going to review Weird War 2, Blood on the Rhine, from Pinnacle Games. This is the D20 version of this game. There are two versions that I'm aware of, the D20 version and the Savage World version. I picked up the D20 version, used, because it was a whole lot cheaper than the Savage World edition. That was just very expensive no matter where I looked. I would like to someday look at them to compare and contrast how they function, because I found this, in some ways, a very strange game, not because of the topic, but because of the way it was presented. The basic concept of this game is that it begins in 1944 with the invasion of Normandy. And that's where the characters are thrust into the war, and their adventures start from that point. There are notes in the game if you want to start earlier in the game, in the war. And there is a very nice overview of World War II, the politics that led up to the war, and the war up to 1944. It's, I don't know, maybe a dozen pages long, and it's very good to give you a very clear, concise understanding of what was going on. It pointed out a few things that I was unaware of, which I thought was kind of nice. It talks about some of the personalities that were involved in the war, the real-world personalities. And I think it's a solid. This is generally equivalent to what you might find in a good high school textbook. About 3/4 of this book is about playing heroes in the setting of World War II in the D20 system, not D20 modern, the D20 core rules. And you've got 6 different character classes. You've got a grunt, an officer, a medic, resistance fighter, and I don't remember the other one. Sorry, I think one might be a tanker or something. But all of them are solid, and they do exactly what they're supposed to do to give you an idea of how you're going to play a character in this setting. It gives you all of the technology you're going to need to refer to. It's going to give you the types of prestige classes that you're going to need. It's going to give you skills. For example, there's an expansion of the language skill. Language skills are not just one rank gives you fluency. One rank gives you just pidgin in it. 5 ranks give you fluency, and 6 ranks gives you not only fluency, but you can affect different accents and different dialects of that language, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. It makes a lot more sense because in the real world, your skill in a language is very much dependent on how much knowledge you have in it. And you just don't pick up a language and understand it completely the first time you use it. So, that's kind of the way it works in the D20 fantasy system, because it's not quite as fine as the real world. And there are just huge amounts of information here. It's really incredibly useful, and it has nothing to do with being in a weird war. 3/4 of this book is about playing in the conflict of Europe. So it's a great game in that regard. Then the last quarter of the book is the weird part, where they throw in the whole concept of this is a world infused with magic, divine and arcane. This is a world infused with undead and vampires and werewolves and, animated corpses and, just eldritch things that the Nazis have been dwelling on and summoning up to help them in their efforts. And it's very well done in that regard, but it's a weird combination. I almost would have thought you would have had 3/4 of the book dedicated to the setting and 1/4 of the book dedicated to playing in World War II in Europe. It's more of a playing the war game than it is playing the war with weird things. It struck me a little odd. I'm literally reading this book now. I had to stop and catch myself, and I'm like, hey, this is supposed to be about weird stuff. Where's the weird stuff? There's information on how to play a clergy with divine magic, how to play a mage, and there's also some information on rune magic, which I thought was rather well done. There's a small bestiary in the back dealing with different things you might run into. And of course, being D20, you could easily dip into the huge plethora of monsters out there and use any of them in this setting without any difficulty whatsoever. But I'm still a little confused about their direction. I think it would have been better if you'd taken D20 Modern, used the D20 Past book to get all the stuff you need for World War II, and then the Urban Arcana book for the magical stuff. That combination would have given you what this game does with a little more flexibility, and I think the D20 Modern system would have fit better than the D20 Core system. However, this is one-stop shopping. Okay? If you know the D20 system, the 3.5 system, and you've got this, or 3.5, 3.0, this is not 3.5, this is 3rd edition, the earlier edition of the game. If you've got those books, or don't understand it, and you have this book, you're all set. And you could play this campaign. It would help if you have some understanding of World War II, but this game gives you enough information, you could wing it quite easily. So I recommend it. I'm just a little confused about its focus. It's a great World War II game, but it's not as weird as I think it could have been.